evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Inside the Pigskin. My name is Scott Morganroth, Motor City Badmouth. Glad to have everybody with us. We have Marvin, we have Candy, we have Mel, we have Tom, we have Steve, and maybe Ben. Right now, Ben is playing the role of, what's his name, the magician. Help me out, David Copperfield. Sometimes he's in, sometimes he's out, and we'll see when he appears. All right, David, you got a little bit of pub today. Let's get to the agenda. A very busy one today, and one that Stephen Wright show is definitely going to be engaging, whether he likes it or not. And I can only imagine the animation that's going to come out of him. We'll talk about his favorite running back. Saquon Barkley missed every regular season bonus a year after he hit every contract incentive in the first season of a 3-year, $37 million deal. Barkley ended up reaching none of those in the regular season, and he wasn't able to hit them this postseason either, as the Eagles lost to the 49ers 23-19. Regardless of how he plays, though, obviously there was $250,000 out the door since the Eagles did not win the NFC title, and another $250 that he also lost. But let's talk about the totality of the whole thing, Steven. If there's ever a guy who's an ultimate team player, it's Saquon Barkley. He really is one heck of a player to have on that team.
Yeah, I mean, he only missed the one of the regular season incentives because he didn't play the last game. I think he only needed like 60. I think he only needed like 67 yards to get one of the regular season incentives. So I mean, but he doesn't care about that nonsense. You know, anyone who's watched, you know, any of the mic'd up moments over the last 2 years, he that stuff's irrelevant to him. He's the team player, the leader. I think we were talking about it earlier in the year when Jordan Mailata was basically sitting there saying he's the guy holding the umbrella when everything's raining around you. So.
Well, again, he's a very unselfish player. The one thing he ended up getting in Philadelphia that he yearned for with the Giants is he got a Super Bowl championship. So not the worst thing. Yes, you missed a couple bonuses this year, but mark my words, Saquon Barkley isn't complaining about it. Tommy?
Oh, he had a 1,100-yard season, 1,140 yards, 106 yards in the playoff game on a team that had trouble passing the ball. That's a pretty strong season. I think he just only added to his legacy, especially on a team where it seems like it was a bit dysfunctional with A.J. Brown always crying about not getting the ball and then dropping balls in a crucial playoff game. Saquon was probably the most consistent player on the team. Great season, in the way I see it.
Mel?
I'm sure Saquon's saying, "Don't cry for me." I mean, he got paid. That's the most important thing. He got his money. The other thing, the running game, and Marvin can attest to this. There's a lot of things that have to go right in order for a running back to be successful in the running game. A lot of things have to go right as far as the blocking schemes are concerned. I mean, he is very dependent upon his offensive line. The offensive line is not playing together as a unit. There's no continuity in that unit. He's going to be able to have the same necessity last year. And remember, they had a different offensive coordinator. Just because you run the same plays doesn't mean you're going to get the same results with a different offensive coordinator. Now, there's a certain attention to detail that you have to have in order to perform at the level in which they performed at. And they performed last year at a very, very high level. And this year, they didn't perform at a very high level. Saquon Barkley is no different this year than he was last year. Just not getting the offensive line, the continuity in the offense as a whole just wasn't there. And obviously, because of those issues, and obviously it's going to reflect on his numbers as well. But again, he got paid, so don't cry for him. I'm sure he's saying, "Don't cry for me." He's straight.
Candy?
When you come off a year where you had 2,005 yards rushing, it's hard to compete. I mean, it's hard to maintain that level all the time. And let's face it, all the teams were gunning for Philadelphia. So that made it even harder. Yes, offensive line was banged up at times, and that doesn't help a running back. So I don't put this all on Saquon. He's such a good down to earth character that, I mean, we talked to him last year. at the Super Bowl. Really great guy. Still over 1,000 yards rushing. Nothing to sneeze about. Great season for him. But yes, the team fell short. But there's only one team that's going to stand at the end of the season. So,
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, that's only 64 yards. 1,100 yards is 64 yards a game. That's 16 yards a quarter. Marvin could probably do that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I'm waiting for the banner to keep going all night. I feel it. Okay. All right, go ahead, Marvin.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Listen, I was a blocking fullback in my entire in my brief NFL career, man. I had one carry for 1 yard, and it was the first play I ever played in the NFL.
That's one more carry than I had.
You know, it is what it is, man. I was happy to be there. I know you feel the same. Saquon is an all-time great talent, and by the end of his career, he'll have the numbers to be considered an all-time great back, which, you know, he's definitely on pace for. I was really happy to see the Eagles give him some money last year. And in regards to these incentives, man, listen, these guys want to hit their incentives, they want to make their money, but you know, as everyone has said, Saquon is a really a team guy. I think he does a great job. With his attitude and disposition, just being a star in the NFL. I think he's a great look for the NFL. This is a guy who, you know, listen, it doesn't matter how good you are. If you don't have your O-line intact, if they're not able to get out there with their best five guys and put their best foot forward against these NFL defenses, you know, you're not going to have the kind of success that he's looking for, that he had last year. I think Tom had said it, you know, it has to do with some of the passing game just not being where it was. And what we saw from him last year was historic. It was something that you don't see all the time. And, you know, it's hard to be successful, you know, like he was, and then come back and do the exact same thing. He's really a victim of his own success in a way. Saquon played good this year. It's just, you know, those magical seasons don't happen every single year. And as Mel said, man, Saquon's saying, don't cry for him. He's okay, man. Like, that guy's making his bread. And I think at this point in his career, even though he definitely wants, you know, to make money and make more money, he wants rings. You know, these guys understand how important that is to legacy, and he wants to be remembered as a champion, and not just one. You know, these guys want multiple championships. I think once you have that taste of success at that level, you just want it again. So, yeah, for us fantasy fans, for us Saquon fans, we want to see him go off a little bit more this year. But, you know, like I said, it's just that's not something that you can repeat every single year.
Eric Dickerson went for 1808, then he went for 2105. He went for 1808 his rookie year, then 2105. But they're committed to running the football. That's back in the 80s. That's when, you know, the running backs were making all the money.
That's when you had a thing called the absolutely. Yeah, that's when you had a thing called the I formation. You had John Robinson out there for the LA Rams, you know, coaching up and
running that gap.
Yeah, exactly. Different time, man. A different time. But Quan's putting up numbers, man. At the end of the day, as I said, he'll be in there in the top 10, top 12 rushing touchdowns and all that stuff.
Yeah, he had 65 fewer carries this year. Still caught 37 balls for another 273 yards. You know, 1,000-yard season isn't the same as when Jim Brown played, but it's still significant because the ball is thrown so much more.
Great point, Tommy. All right, Ben, we'll give you the last word on Saquon Barkley. Obviously, didn't hit his financial bonuses, but he probably doesn't care anyways. Fact of the matter is he's more concerned that they didn't win a Super Bowl. Some thoughts, and then we're going to go to another Philadelphia topic. Go ahead, Ben. You have the last word on it.
I mean, what Saquon didn't hit it. You saying Saquon didn't hit his incentives. He's just worried more about winning the Super Bowl.
That's what it seems like, right, Steven?
Yeah, he's the ultimate team guy. I mean, the thing about Saquon Barkley, a guy that coming off a 2,000-yard season, you knew he wasn't going to season this year, but he's the direct opposite of A.J. Brown. Like, he goes, look, man, I'm not playing well. I just want to be, you know, a team player, and I want to contribute. It just didn't happen that way. I feel bad for Saquon Barkley because he was really trying to win in 2025 how they did in 2024. That's not going to work. And if they're going to catch up to you, he did the best he could. But I think that the Eagles think that Saquon Barkley is more of I think they thought that he was more of a Christian McCaffrey, and he's not. Now, he's talented, super talented. Right. But what they want him to be in the pass game. He's not, and the running game just wasn't efficient. And you see how it hurt the Eagles. So yeah, I'm not surprised that Saquon Barkley cared more about winning. And I know he wanted his numbers, but he got a contract extension at the end of 2024. It just didn't translate to 2025, and the band might be breaking up. I don't think Saquon Barkley is going to be a part of the band breaking up, but I don't see that offense looking the same in 2026 because that much offensive production and that lack of that much offensive firepower and that lack of offensive production. Yeah, but Saquon, man, he's a pro's pro, and I'm happy that I'm happy that he had the year he had 2 years ago. But yeah, Marvin and Mel know this. Look, we ain't trying to help you get no incentives. If we don't have Super Bowl aspirations, but we try to help you get them incentives. If you do right by us, we'll do right by you. You go into the game and you need 7 catches, you're gonna catch 6, and they're gonna put the young guys in, unless you help them out. Not surprised.
Well, that's it. Well, let's go back to Philadelphia. Obviously, we talk about the offense, and today the offensive coordinator, Kevin Pattillo, was let go by Nick Sirianni. Steve, why don't you give us a little bit of insight on what took place, why the OC is no longer the OC?
Well, I'll tell you about 99.9% of the fans, or maybe, well, I'm not even going to say that. 100% of the fans are absolutely they're having a drink tonight in celebration. Because as we have already seen that it's rough, and we've seen the stark difference between last year and this year. Yes, there were some injuries on the offensive line, but the scheme has just been off. AJ Brown was extremely upset about how everything was going. Even the Super Bowl year, there was times where AJ there was things that was rubbing him the wrong way, but it was also because it was a run centric offense. We were barely seeing 30 attempts, as it were, and then Kevin Pattillo just didn't do himself any favors with it in any way, shape, or form. He was talking to Ryan Fitzpatrick, talking about a few weeks ago, talking about how he just gets unfairly judged. But then when you look at, what was it? Former Eagles wide receiver Jason Avant was breaking it down, and it was just basically he was running the same 4 plays over and over again, as far as what the passing schemes were. You can't do that in the NFL. You have Dan Orlovsky breaking it down, and he basically was sitting there saying it was a copy and paste offense. So when you're looking at how it all is being broken down, it was just he was absolutely an inept, underprepared offensive coordinator, and I think that was part of the reasons why you see an AJ Brown being so disjointed as he was compared to last season. I mean, he's a wide receiver; he wants to get his, but as we were talking about, he also had some key drops, and there was plays during the season, not even during the playoffs, where there'd be Jalen throw him go balls, he just stopped. So like there was a lot of miscommunication, and I think it started with the coaching. So when you have the star power that you have on that offense, and then you don't perform. Yeah, you had 2,000-yard receivers. Yeah, you had a 1,000-yard running back. But Jalen Hurts had the most passing touchdowns that he had in his career. Yeah, you had Dallas Goedert. He had a set a team record for receiving touchdowns for a tight end. That's all well and good, but if you don't perform in the moment you need to perform, somebody's got to pay for it. And you could sit there and say that he may be the scapegoat. That might be true, but I also think that it also plays a part in you lose your offensive coordinator, you win the Super Bowl, you have very limited options on guys you could bring in. So what happened? And go back and look at this. Every time that Jalen and Nick Sirianni, when they've lost their offensive coordinator and they hired within the following season, it has been a mess. But when they hire the offensive coordinator outside of their building, they've all had started head coaching jobs the next season. Every single one of them. So you have to play a couple different keys in this. I think Kevin was in a winless situation. He probably wasn't the right guy for the job, but he was in a winless situation.
Jeremy, to answer your question, yeah, Kellen Moore was the OC last year in Philadelphia, and he obviously went ahead and
I agree with him. He was using Matt Nagy's Tecmo Bowl playbook. That's probably spot on there.
So, Jeremy lobbying, time for me to talk football on as a guest. Good stuff. All right, great. Thanks for being in here, Jeremy. All right, let's go to our featured topic of the night after everybody else can talk about this. All right, Ben, some thoughts about Kevin Patullo no longer in charge of the offense.
Well, I mean, I think Steven just said it. Somebody's going to have to be the fall guy. I mean, the easiest guy is going to be Kevin Patullo, right? That's going to be the easiest fall guy. But here's the thing, right? No one wants to talk about it. Sometimes numbers are deceiving. Yes, the Philadelphia Eagles had 2,000-yard rush. 2,000-yard receiving. They was barely over 1,000. That was like 1,007 yards, 1,008 yards. I would say this. Kellen Moore was going to be hard to replace, just like Ben Johnson was for Detroit. Like, do you see how potent that offense was in 2024? So, like you said, Stephen, unless they're just putting up, yes, people are putting up career numbers. You talk about Dallas Goedert, you talk about Jalen Hurts, but they were accepting things in wins they wouldn't accept in losses. The second half, that second half offense, it was dismal a lot of times, but they're winning games. So nobody's really going to say anything. That's not going to win games in the playoffs. So I think that Patullo, he was out of his element because when you got that much firepower, you still got to be creative. You can't just go, hey, Saquon, go break a tackle. Hey, AJ, go break a tackle. No. Where's the motion? Only two guys ran go routes. That would be Devonta Smith and AJ Brown. And I can tell you the formation when they're going to run them. I can tell you when AJ Brown is going to run an in cut. I can tell you when he's going to run the out. I can tell you can't play predictable offense and expect to win games in the postseason. So I'm not surprised. But here's the thing about the Eagles. You can't do what every other team does because you're one of the upper echelon teams. So I'm not surprised he got let go. Nick Sirianni going to have to make some serious – I don't think Tulo is going to be the only one. I don't think A.J. Brown is going to be back either. I really, really don't. Because the thing about A.J. is something you just said, Steven. You can't talk that much when you don't get the ball. And when you do, when you drop it, you know where to be found. I'm not talking to me. That's not going to work. And I do think the Eagles are going to be a team to deal with moving forward. But you got to make the right decision, not a decision. Bad teams make decisions. That's why that's why you got coaching changes all over the freaking place. Now everybody want Mike Tomlin. Hey, Mike, man, you come down to Atlanta, man, we'll do you right. I'm just saying, it's in the dome. Just think about it. But I just think that Patullo knew that he was probably going to be one and done because when you're on a team that matters, everything you do matters. And everything you don't do matters as well. So it ain't Patullo you got to worry about. Who's going to be the guy? If Mike McDaniel become the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, I'm not watching football next year. I'm not watching it because what he can do with those weapons would be dangerous, people. So we'll see what happens, but I'm not surprised that somebody's going to be the fall guy. 48 million reasons to keep A.J. Brown unless you want 25 million. People don't care about cap hits. If they got Howie Roseman. He is Houdini. If anybody can find a way to flip that money, the Eagles need to hit a home run with the new OC. Yeah, I think they do, but I'm not surprised that Patullo is gone. I would love to say, oh my God, they got rid of the OC. What? I mean, the Falcons got rid of their GM and they freaking head coach. Problem is, it's a year too freaking late. It's a year too late. Terry Fontenot. Anyway, don't get me started. We're talking about good teams, not irrelevant teams. So I'm not surprised that he's gone. Know that now Howie Roseman, the biggest decision he's going to have to make this year is not going to be who you re-sign. It's do you bring in an OC that know how to call plays? Because Saquon Barkley looking mediocre. Only Patullo could do something like that. Crazy.
I'm not going to get you started. You do a good job of your own. Get yourself started. I'm just saying,
man. Don't get me. We talking about real football teams, man. Every time some people at Atlanta, I'm thinking about why we want to bring that up, or why we got to ruin my day. You know what I'm saying? I root for the Titans. I root for the Falcons, and I played in Florida. I didn't have a good 2025. That's all I'm saying. I didn't have a good 2025.
I totally get it. I totally understand. All right, Tommy.
It's just sports, sometimes things don't work out, guys don't mesh. He had been around all last year. He'd seen what worked with Kellen Moore. Howie Rosen had the power to not make him the offensive coordinator if he didn't like the idea. You'd think it would have worked. And the mystery on top of that is if the media and if TV analysts can see they're predictable and what's wrong with the offense, why can't the staff as a group figure out what's wrong? But it's just sports. The same thing happened in Detroit. They promoted within. They thought they had continuity, and the new OC couldn't match the creativity of the old OC. That's just sports. It happens all the time.
Right.
Sometimes you see the assistant coach come on and do a better job than the head coach. You just never know.
Okay. Mel.
I mean, Stevie Wonder could see that coming. Somebody's going to take the fall, and Jalen Hurts has had a different offensive coordinator every year since he's been in the league, pretty much. I mean, this has got to be their fourth or fifth guy, whether because guys have gone on and got other jobs, or whether it didn't work out. 1 year they didn't like the way the offense was clicking that year, and they moved on from him. But Jalen Hurts has had a different offensive coordinator just about every year, so it's very difficult to get in the rhythm, and that makes it all that more impressive what Kellen Moore was able to do in the 1 year that he was there with that offense. And so you knew somebody was, and you listen to Jalen's post-game interview or his Monday interview, and he wasn't very complimentary of the guy, so you can see that he wasn't happy. So something had to change. It's obvious something had to change. They couldn't go in the next year with this guy here with the offense the way that it was. Talking heads, all the talking heads, they have all the answers. They say that it's predictable. You listen to the talking heads, you'll be one of the talking heads. So, I mean, Nick had to do what he felt he had to do. I don't think he's a play caller. He let that guy continue to call the plays. And, they ended up parting company at the end of the year. But, yeah, I mean, everybody could see that coming. I mean, that something had to change there.
Marvin.
Yeah, the thing about it is everybody on the Eagles, all their star players on offense, they got paid. They're on their second contracts. The organization, they paid Jalen, they paid AJ, they paid Smith, they paid Quan. And when you put that kind of money out, I mean, you have expectations, rightfully so, especially coming off a Super Bowl. So, yeah, for the Eagles, the standard is a standard. Steve had mentioned, some of these Jalen and the tight end, had career years in some areas, but really it's about the eye test. What it looks like, and it didn't look good as a whole when you watched it. And then obviously the early exit doesn't help either. It's a situation where as an offensive play caller, you got to be creative, man. These defensive coordinators, these veteran defensive coordinators, these guys are good. And these guys are good, man. So if you out there running, a vanilla offense, and you're not taking advantage of the talent that you have, the defense is going to catch up to you. It's going to show up, and it showed up. And with that, the OC's out.
Candy.
There's always going to be someone that's going to be the fall guy when you don't reach the pinnacle that you wanted to reach, or when you don't hit what you expected to hit. And yes, this was the fifth different OC in 5 years up in Philly. We've talked about how that matters in some of the development of other quarterbacks, but we haven't talked about it, how it develops other players for Philadelphia and how that can affect them. And, going from Kellen Moore, who obviously did really well with that offense, it's hard. So you knew someone was going to take the fall in Philly.
Now we're going to go rapid fire on a couple topics. I want to make sure we get everything in. Since we're on the offensive coordinator theme, we'll stay with one with the Detroit Lions. The Lions announced that they have parted ways with offensive coordinator John Morton after one season. I'll make this a really quick one, Marvin. I'll go around the horn. Would you view Johnny Morton as a scapegoat for what took place here in Detroit, knowing full well that he followed Ben Johnson?
It's not even about him being a scapegoat. The reality is you now realize how good Ben Johnson was with that offense and with that quarterback and that team. That's really the bigger story. He's a really good offensive play caller, quarterback developer, just great with the O. You see what he's doing in Chicago. I mean, and it went from, they're not able to replicate that same offense last year, those numbers. And now you have Dan Campbell, my man, Bubba Gump, taking the play calling sheet, and he's out there calling plays. It don't work like that, man. You can't just pick up the play sheet and think that you an OC. They struggle, man. They struggle without the offensive leadership. They struggled without the strategic approach that Ben Johnson took, and it showed, man. It was really unfortunate because Detroit's offense was on fire last couple of years, and this year it was just,
Well, yeah, the reality with Morton, it'll be interesting with all these offensive coordinating positions opening up if he lands somewhere as an offensive assistant or not. But he, obviously, Dan Campbell went out there and took over. Candy, some thoughts? What's the scapegoat? That's the main question on this topic.
I would say yes. I would say he had hard shoes to fill because Ben Johnson did such a good job there and gelled with everybody. So I think sometimes that also makes it hard for his replacement to come in and have success right off the bat.
Mel?
No, he wasn't a scapegoat, man. The guy got paid to do a job, and he did a lousy job. I'm not here to call for anybody's job, say someone should get fired or whatnot. He did lose his job because it's a high performance business, and they did not perform to the level, to the expectations, and because of that, he lost his job. No, he wasn't the scapegoat.
Tom?
I would say he's not a scapegoat. He didn't have a history of play calling, and they promoted him. And Dan Campbell taking over the play calling tells you all you need to know. They should have figured it out. They gambled on him, and it didn't work out. And then it didn't help that the offensive line was just porous with all their injuries they had.
Steven?
No scapegoat. I mean, if anything, he's the victim of blind loyalty, getting thrusted into that position that just he wasn't fit for. We were just talking about this, so not a scapegoat. You don't perform in this league. That's what do they say? Not for long in the NFL. Yep, well, it's not for long.
Ben, your final word on it.
Yeah, I don't think it's a scapegoat either. I think sometimes people look at what somebody else did and go, "Oh man, I got a Monse Brown, I got Jahmyr Gibbs and company, man. All I got to do is do this until it don't happen, until it doesn't happen." You have to call plays to win games. You can't just call plays and think my players are just better than the defensive guys, so they're gonna be good enough to go out there and get it done. No. And sometimes the players ain't as good as you thought they were. Now, when they had Ben Johnson because he was creative, yes. You put another guy in there, no. Because they go, hey, man, you got to call a winning play on third down, not a play. So, but I just think when sometimes it's who you replace. So they get rid of players when they don't get it done. So I don't want to hear about OCs. Well, all you got to do is call the play. You just ain't calling good plays. So they're going to say the right things in the media, but I do not think it's a scapegoat. I think he just flat out didn't get it done.
Yeah, I like what Eddie Prather said. Dable or McDaniel would be good for the Detroit offensive coordinator job. I agree. No scapegoat. We're going to go to something very different here. And this is one I like to find these different stories, and I'm going to come up with one now. That Joshua Ergo is now the new coach, the inaugural head coach of Texas A&M Arcana. I like these stories because, again, you're talking about a guy who's building another program from scratch. We talked about one last year. So get this, Joshua Ergo, Texas A&M Arcana. With some thoughts about this guy here, Marvin.
Marvin, you're on mute, Marvin.
You're on mute. Okay.
I like to see these smaller programs, try to jump in the mix and become relevant. I think the state of Texas has a bunch of talent. I don't know what they're going to do in regards to NIL, but these situations are definitely uphill battles at these smaller schools. We'll see. Again, he'll have a pool of talent in the state of Texas as they produce a lot of NFL draft picks and NFL players. So we'll see what he can do with that.
Candy.
He's an American football coach, former player. They begin play in 2027. He served as a head football coach at East Texas Baptist University from 2013 to 2015, compiling a record of 14-16. In 2015, he led his East Texas Baptist team to the American Southwest Conference Championship and was named ASC Coach of the Year. So obviously he can, he can coach, and let's see what they can do. Like Marvin said, it depends on NIL and what all he can do as far as, but he's in a good state to recruit.
Ben?
This is the Kurt Signetti effect. You see what's going on in Indiana, people thinking, man, I'm telling you, you getting the right money in here. Now I'm pretty sure he's going to be getting put out. Indiana got a bunch of grown men. We're talking about average age of 23. But teams are saying, man, why don't people know about us? Because we ain't a football team. You do the football team got to be good? Nope, the football team has to play on Saturday. And let's see what type of momentum we can build. To be a program starter, that says a lot. I mean, my nephew goes to Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State has been around since 2015. They are already in Conference USA in the second year, and they won it. So these Conference USAs and different conferences, you got a shot to be able to be in these conferences really, really quickly, depending on how well you play. So, yeah, and in the great state of Texas, you're going to have plenty of guys because guess what? There are going to be some guys in the portal who thought they were going to get money who going to realize, hey, man, do you want to come over here and play or do you want to sit in the portal? It ain't Texas. Yeah, I go to Texas A&M, Texarkana, but football is football. So I do think that because of what football means to these schools and what it means as far as revenue and exposure, I love when people try to throw their hat in the ring and say, let's try to see if we can make this thing jump because ain't but one team going to win it, right? And guess what? It ain't going to be Texas A&M. They're not going to win the Natty. So might as well go to Texas A&M, Texarkana. And guess what? Texarkana, Texas A&M, Texarkana, Texas A&M football trophy case, it looks the same. It looks the same. So I get which one you want to go to, but football is football. And maybe that's just me jumping at these Texas A&M fans. Yeah, gig them that. Yeah, baby, all that trash they was talking, what they saying now? Sitting on the couch. So Texas A&M, Texarkana, I will root for y'all, and I hope Texas A&M put them on the schedule, and I hope they beat them.
Tell me how you really feel. You make me look like a genius when I come up with topics like this, Ben. You make me look really good because I look hard for some of this. I'm on here with Mel, Marv, Tom, and you talk about the Rose What's Miss Candy. No, man, I'm just saying. I mean, upstarts got to be something that we believe. If you believe in capitalism, quote, in the American dream, you got to like upstarts, man. Anybody can deal with the Fortune 500s. Give me these small businesses that runs America anyway. Give me those. That's what I did. That's why, because of you, the way you talk about them, I keep bringing them on. I like this reinforcement from people like you that get me these Texas A&M Arcanas and the other ones we come up with, and I'll look for another one next week. Mel, some thoughts about Arcana.
Yeah, I got nothing. You didn't give us a whole lot on it. Are they a Division One? Are they Division One, or what division are they in?
They play football in Texas. That's all you need to know.
I understand, but what level of football? I mean, Division One, Division Two. What are they? Are they in the FBS, FCS? Where they at?
Well, Rolls Royce, give him his answers.
I'm looking.
I'm just. It's fine if you don't, because I mean we're talking like
we're talking about the coach Joshua Ergel, my man. He's taking this program and building it from scratch like every other new coach does these days.
Yeah, I never heard of him, man. I got nothing. I'm sorry.
Well, tonight you have.
Yeah, tonight's first. I mean, when we saw it, I figured you'd give us something and I could go off of it, but I got nothing.
That's all right. Candy's going to give you something to talk about, right, Candy?
It said in 2025.
The River Red Athletic Conference. The River Red Athletic Conference. I don't even know what that is, but let's do it.
Go ahead, Candy. Give them something.
In 2025, the university announced that it would be adding football, and play will begin with the 2027 season. Coinciding with the announcement, athletic director Ryan Wall announced that the Eagles will be moving to the Lone Star Conference at the NC2A Division II level, starting with the 26-27 academic year. The athletics department also entered a partnership with Red River Credit Union for the naming rights to the future football stadium. The stadium is planned to have a capacity of 6,000 and open in 2028.
Division II, Mel. That's all you need to know. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, that's great, man. Some more kids are going to get an opportunity to play football.
There you go. That's a comment I need. Thank you. All right, Tom.
Yeah, we talked about this last time about the school, I think in North Dakota, that, it brings,
Right.
it gives the school a name, brings it some attention. The other thing it does that I didn't mention last week was that it can also bring the community and the college together. A lot of places call it town and gown. So they're not opposing each other. They're working together.
Right.
They're one community instead of two separate communities. And Texarkana is right there where they're close to Oklahoma. They're close to Arkansas. And I guess they draw students from all three of the states. And so if anybody needs an identity to focus on, it's a school like that. And then the other thing is, who knows where this coach will end up? Kurt Cignetti coached at Indiana University of Pennsylvania
Right.
before anybody knew who he was. And he also coached at Elon, which is a small school here in North Carolina near Greensboro. So who knows?
My college historian, Tom Shanahan. Great stuff. And I've driven through Texarkana before, so I knew about this. This would also intrigue me to put it on. We'll go to another college school everybody's more familiar with, and that's 9 straight bowl wins for the Minnesota Gophers, who have the longest bowl win streak in college football going on. They finished the year 8-5. Tommy, some thoughts about the Gophers winning at least 9 straight bowl games?
Well, J.P. Fleck is a great coach. He was a great coach at Western Michigan. I don't know if Minnesota will ever be more than just a middle of the pack program, though. I mean, the bowl games they're winning, they aren't the Rose Bowl or the Sugar Bowl or anything like that. So it's about as good as Minnesota can do. And J.P. Fleck is getting the most out of that program.
Mel?
Yeah, I mean, I think PJ Fleck is a good coach, but yeah, Minnesota's a tough program. When you're looking at the Big Ten, well, how many teams are in the Big Ten now? 16 teams, 17 teams in there right now, 18, whatever that number is. That's a tough program, and I think he's a good coach. And I think he could probably, if he ever decided to leave Minnesota, he could probably go somewhere else and do very well. But he seems to be devoted and committed to that program and to that community, and trying to make something special happen there at Minnesota. That's a tough program.
And
I appreciate the fact that Minnesota is doing what they're supposed to do. I mean, you put them. I think you start talking about college football teams; they ain't all in the same caliber, even though they all play each other. 9 straight bowl games wins is a big feat because you got big time programs that can't even make bowl games. So everybody say no one cares about a bowl game. Yeah, yes they do. Yes, people do, and it's easy to say. It's easy to say that no one cares about bowl games when you can't even make a bowl game. So when you talk about the standard, yes, Minnesota's never gonna be, put in the same category as other schools, but that don't mean they got an incredible thing going on with the Golden Gophers. So I respect it because it shows that what they're trying to accomplish, they're getting it done. Do they make noise certain years and certain outlier years? Yeah. Will they ever be in consideration of college football national championship? It's going to probably be hard with NIL, but 9 straight bowl wins is a big time thing for it, especially with people saying no one cares about bowl games. Yes, people do. Don't let the college football playoff make you think that people don't care about bowl games. People still do, and I still think it's a great thing for the student athletes. So, congrats to the Golden Gophers keeping that thing alive because there's a team that will go unmentioned in the state of Florida that can't even make a bowl game. Two of the big 3 can't even make a bowl game. So, yeah, I respect that stuff.
great stuff. All right, Marvin.
Yeah, PJ Fleck is really a good coach. Minnesota beat my Trojans 2 years ago up in Minnesota. I saw it up close watching the game, and they were tough, man, physical team. It doesn't surprise me that they've had that kind of success. PJ has built a really good program, even in this NIL transfer portal era, and it's really good for the program because what you want to do is you want to go into the offseason feeling good. You want to go into the offseason feeling like you have something going and you're headed in the right direction. And after coming off a 2-week bowl prep, you win your bowl game, you play a team, most likely out of conference, who also is excited about this. And to do it 9 years in a row says a lot about his culture, says a lot about his talent, even though a lot of guys skip. But, when you win consistently like he's doing at the end, winning those bowl games, that's a good thing, and it speaks to what you're building and what you got going on. So, yeah, for a team who will always struggle to get to the top of the Big Ten, they're a team who's relevant and a team who's real. And one of those teams, when you play them, you cannot sleep on them because they play hard and have some guys. So, yeah, it's a great feat, and let's see if they can do it 10 years in a row.
Yeah, PJ Fleck has done a good job. Candy, obviously, you're from that part of the country. What are your thoughts about what they're doing up in Minnesota?
So PJ Fleck is a really good coach. Let's face it, the Big Ten, as much as some people don't want to give credit to the Big Ten is a tough conference. They have some really good, obviously they have Ohio State. Now Indiana they have to compete with.
UCLA.
I'm sorry?
UCLA.
Yeah, we can't forget.
Who's that?
I
I didn't hear. I don't know who that is.
That's an alley-oop for me.
I was helping her out.
College.
She was struggling. I was just helping her out.
You were. Now, I will admit that Minnesota won the Rate Bowl this last year, the Duke's Mayo Bowl in January of last year, the Quick Lane Bowl, the Pinstripe Bowl, the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, the Outback Bowl, the Quick Lane Bowl, the Holiday Bowl, and the Quick Lane Bowl again.
You can be 6-7 or 5-6 and go to a bowl game.
Give me a break. Your team only won 3 games this year.
Hey, Scott.
Say it again, Scott. Say it again, Scott. Tell him again.
I know it's your show, Scott. But
really? Seriously, really? Come on, Mel.
I know it's your show, Scott, but
I know it is too. Wait a minute. I touch you more slack than anybody. But give me a break. Give the Gophers a little love. I'm not telling you to talk about the Trojans. Talk about the Gophers. Go, Gopher.
we'll put their record up there. All the years they've been playing football, I'll put UCLA's record up against theirs any day.
Of course you would. What do you expect you to do? I mean, they play in the Rose Bowl.
How many Heisman Trophy winners do they have over there at Minnesota?
More than you.
Don't worry about it. We're not talking about it. We're talking about
I guarantee they don't have more than UCLA.
Wait a minute, Mel. We're talking about a 9-game bowl streak. All right, so maybe they're not the cream of the crop. They might be part of the cream of the crap a little bit. We don't even care. They still won 9. Doesn't make any difference.
I got nothing. I got nothing to hang my hat on. I got nothing to fight.
I know you don't, especially this year.
I'm fighting with my arms behind my back. But guess what? We'll be back. 2026. This is our year.
It's okay. I'm not saying the Gophers are down.
Cowboys fan. Next year, it's our year. Next year.
Yeah.
You got to show that you and Marvin can go at it every Saturday and beat each other up like two people with clubs about USC, UCLA. Give the Gophers their due.
Respect. Respect.
All right, well, that's good enough out of you tonight anyways. All right. But all right, Steven, do you have anything to say about this 9-game winning streak until we go back to the NFL where you're more comfortable with it anyways?
Yeah. The only thing I know about Minnesota is that Bronco Nagurski played for him. Other than that,
well, that's good enough coming out of you.
I mean, they might as well be on the same wavelength as UCLA. We don't know who.
Big Hurt, I think, played there. Dave Winfield, I think, went to Minnesota. Charlie Sanders went to Minnesota.
More importantly,
now you're talking good about
there you go, Tony Dungy. There you go.
Well, there you go. All right, now you're getting in the ballpark now, brother. Tony Dungy, Bronco Nagurski, coming from a guy who knows less about college football than anybody came up with that name anyways. So, all right, with that said, good stuff, Steve. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about a guy by the name of Ricky Prohl. Everybody heard about him, the former NFL wide receiver and assistant coach of the name, head coach of the St. Louis Battlehawks. Give it to us tonight. We're talking about these other teams here, the Battlehawks. We're talking about Texarkana. This is Inside the Pigskin, everybody. We talk about it all. No Canadian Football League. Sorry for people north of the border, right? But he's going to be going to United Football League. Some thoughts about the hire, Marvin.
I love it. Ricky was a really good receiver in the NFL. I remember him when he was with the Rams, I believe. And I love to see these. I love to see these NFL guys getting these head coaching jobs, even if it is the UFL. It's the minor leagues to football, if you want to call it that. That's all good. But it's an opportunity for him to grow, to have a new experience, to see what his real leadership skills are. I have no doubt that he has a ton of perspective that he'll be able to give those young players who are all aspiring to make it to the NFL. So, I root for all former players in these leadership positions, and I'll be watching out for him to see what he does.
I like Eddie Prather. Dave Winfield did go to the University of Minnesota. Great point. He's a baseball player. All right, go ahead, Candy.
Well, we're talking football. Inside
Well, that's all right. Dave Winfield's a big name. He's good for hashtagging, sick the man. I can use the help a little bit
I
once
think
in
I
a
said
while.
that. He just copied off me. I
Dave
said that.
Winfield. I'm talking about Steve. Dave Winfield. Yeah, we're talking
he
football.
probably just went to
I
Google
need
to
the
find out.
tag, dude.
Dave Winfield was drafted in all three sports. Football,
Yeah, he was pretty good.
basketball, and baseball. He didn't play football in college, but he was drafted.
All right, go ahead,
Minnesota, by the way, Mel, they won the 1960 national title with Sandy Stevens, the first black quarterback. The next year, they played UCLA in the Rose Bowl when UCLA's 8 black players threatened to boycott because Bear Bryant was working a backroom deal to sneak into the Rose Bowl in place of the Big Ten. And Jim Murray blew that up on him because he wrote about the UCLA black players. And Sandy Stevens came out and played in his second straight Rose Bowl.
Did they win?
Yeah, they beat UCLA. The previous year, they had lost to Washington. But back in those days,
Thought the story had a happy ending.
Yeah,
your happy ending is UCLA
Nah.
back down the Rose Bowl in Alabama. Bear Bryant, Bear Bryant's supposed to be this grandfatherly guy.
Thanks for
Not
that.
in
Tom.
that case.
Appreciate
No, you
that.
can't always have a happy ending. All right, who did I leave off on this one? Go ahead, Candy.
As a player, Richard Kroll was a wide receiver in the NFL for 17 seasons with Phoenix/Arizona Cardinals, Seattle Seahawks, Chicago Bears, St. Louis Rams, Carolina Panthers, and Indianapolis Colts. He played in 4 Super Bowls and won 2, one with the Rams and one with the Colts. He's originally from the Bronx. He went to high school in New Jersey, college at Wake Forest. He was in the NFL draft in 1990, the 3rd round, the 58th pick overall. He's been coaching. He was an offensive assistant for the Panthers 2011 to 12, a wide receivers coach from 2013 to 2016, and then now he was a wide receivers coach with St. Louis Battlehawks in 2023, and now he's been hired as the head coach. So he has a resume. He's been around football a long time. So good luck to him in his new job.
Hey, who's left on this topic? Ben?
Yeah, I'm happy for Ricky Prohl. I mean, he seems to be a guy that loves development. These head coaches that get these jobs in the UFL or really care about development. He replaces a friend of mine, man, Anthony Beck. We used to live neighborhoods right beside each other right there in Tampa. Even though he played for Tampa, I played for Tampa. Anthony get to go back to Florida. I think he's the head coach of Orlando now. And Ricky Prohl played 17 years in the league. I mean, he was a part of the greatest show on turf. He knows football, and he was. As Candy said, he was on that Battlehawks staff, and when Anthony Beck moved on to Orlando, they named him the head coach. So I'm happy for him. And if you are an assistant coach as a former player, everybody wants to be a head coach, and I think sometimes people think it's got to be in the NFL, got to be in college. No, I want to know how I look running a team. The UFL does a great job of helping players develop, either players that never got a shot in the NFL coming out of the draft, or players that kind of got cut in the NFL trying to get back in the league. So I'm happy for Ricky Prohl. And for what I hear about him, the guys he's coached in the league, he really knows his X's and O's. He really understands, how to get things done. And like I said, I was really happy for Anthony Beck when he became the head coach of the Blackhawks. And then now he's getting replaced by a guy he brought on his staff. That's got to feel good for Anthony. Now Anthony and Ricky Prohl get to compete against each other. So congrats to both gentlemen. And hopefully Ricky Prohl, he's ready for this head coaching gig. And like I said, coaching a side of the football or a position in football is not the same as running a team. I'm pretty sure he's gonna be picking Anthony Beck's brain a lot, even though they got to compete against each other this year.
Great stuff, Ben. Okay. Josh Allen wins his first round playoff game in his NFL career. All right, we're gonna go rapid fire on this one. Glad to see it, Marvin.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, the Bills hadn't won a road playoff game in years, and the reality is they went into Jacksonville, tough Jacksonville defense. Jacksonville offense was on fire. A lot of people thought this might be the year for Jacksonville. But no, Josh Allen went in there, played a great game. He did what MVPs do, and he's just really adding his name to the list of just clutch quarterbacks, all-time great quarterbacks. Obviously, he needs a Super Bowl to really get to that level. But when you win a game like this against Jacksonville, at Jacksonville, when Jacksonville's on fire, offense and defense, it's a big-time move, man, and it's only going to aid to increasing and making his legacy even greater.
Candy?
Josh Allen did what he needed to do to solidify himself as MVP for this game. Let's face it, he was injured. At one point they checked him out for a concussion. At another point he hit his hand on a helmet. Then he twisted his knee in that game. He did what he needed to keep the ball as long as he did near the end and to score, because this was a seesaw battle back and forth. And Jacksonville I believe they had the ball at the end, but they didn't have a lot of time left on the clock, and they just couldn't get where they needed to go. But seesaw battle, kudos to Josh Allen for coming up on top. They said that this is possibly his year because he doesn't have the roadblocks in front of him that he's always had before. So we'll see if that's true or not.
Okay, Katie, go to the chat room, put some of those comments up, and we can all comment on them as we talk to this topic. Some thoughts, Mel, on this rapid fire about Allen finally getting that road win.
Well, I mean, this is the year. If he's going to do it, if he's going to go all the way, this is the year. There's no Patrick Mahomes. There's no Lamar Jackson. There's no Joe Burrow. So this is the year for him to do it. I mean, he can't get bounced out by a young Trevor Lawrence. He can't get bounced out by the kid at New England. I can't think of his name right now. Drake May. I mean, this is the year for him to go all the way. So, and they don't have as many weapons in the passing game as they've had in the past, but I mean, they can run the football pretty well, and defensively, they're not as good as they used to be. So, I mean, he's going to have to be superhuman in order to make it happen. But it's great for him. It's great for him. But obviously, they still have a lot more football to play, and we'll see how it plays out.
Okay, Tommy.
Yeah, I think too much was made of them losing playoff games, and this was our first playoff win. Makes it sound like they never won a playoff game. Won a lot of playoff games, but then they were running into the future Super Bowl champions, Patrick Mahomes, and sometimes it took a dramatic comeback for Kansas City to get by Buffalo. So I think too much is made of that, and they aren't as good as they were in past years, mostly on defense. So it was a great win for Allen. I don't know how far they're going to go though because of their defense.
Steven.
I think the big thing is that Buffalo as a team prior to last weekend's playoff game hadn't won on the road 1992-93. That's kind of the big thing. Yes, the Allen teams had won playoff games. They were at home though, and as Tom and some of the other panel members have talked about, there's no Josh Allen, there's no Lamar Jackson, there's no Joe Burrow, but you still got that Denver defense and Bo Nix. They're going to have to get through. They're going to have to go to Denver to win. They're going to more than likely have to play on as the road dog from here on out if they continue to win over the next few weeks. So I think it's a big deal getting that first road win at under your belt too. Doing it with, as we're talking about, with not as many weapons. I think people are underestimating what Brandon Cooks has actually meant to Josh Allen since that late season pickup. So it's one of those things where this has to be his year with everything that's played out. We just watched my Eagles get washed out. I know a lot of people, they want to see the Rams go back or Seattle get another crack at it, or dare I even say the Bears that have a chance. I want to see the 49ers in Levi Stadium against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl. That's what I want to see moving forward. They still have to get through Denver, and I think that'll probably be their toughest test. We'll see what happens after this week and how everything shakes out. But it's in Josh Allen's hands. He's been their de facto Superman over the last few years, regardless of how good or bad the defense is right now. The way he's playing, it has to fall on him. This has to be the year he does it. I'd love to see the Bills do it and finally get over that hump.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Brandon Cooks. Great stuff, Stephen. All right, Ben.
Yeah, I think the thing about a guy like Josh Allen is, you got a shot as long as he's on the field. I mean, he took a pounding. Like, he got beat up, but he knows, look, I have to go out there and be everything for this team. I know that defense led by Greg Rousseau and those guys was able to go out there and put pressure on Trevor Lawrence. It was 4th and 1, and they was literally trying to let them get in the end zone because they thought that the Jacksonville Jaguars offense was going to go down the field. That is not winning football. 4th and 1, I was supposed to go like 10 yards or however long and win, and then they thought he got in the end zone, but Josh Allen is the all-time leading. He has the most rushing touchdowns in NFL history, and he still got 7-8 years left. He's going to have over 100 rushing touchdowns. That's not including the postseason. So if you are Jacksonville, you say, hey, man, what is the consolation prize for making it to the playoffs? Josh Allen, you won and done. And if you are Josh Allen, you got to find a way to get it because you know that Patrick Mahomes, as we mentioned, isn't there. Lamar Jackson isn't there. Joe Burrow isn't there. And I think that for this Bills team, the thing about Josh Allen that doesn't be talked about enough, yes, he gets a lot of unfair criticism when he doesn't win because of the player that he is, but he has to play well for them to win. He's not in a position where he can play okay and they win. Keon Coleman is supposed to be his number 1 receiver, and he's been a healthy scratch 2 games in this season. He had 1 catch on Sunday, and they still won. Name a team that your number 1 receiver barely has 600 yards receiving the whole year, has been a healthy scratch 2 games, and you still moving on in the playoffs. So congratulations to Sean McDermott, because people talk about coaches that are under pressure. Nobody's under more pressure than Sean McDermott year in and year out, regardless of who's in the playoffs. But I was very impressed with Josh Allen because when he went out for concussion protocol, I would not have to want to be that trainer to have to go tell Sean McDermott he's out. That trainer was like, please be okay. Hey, Allen, how many fingers do I got up? 2. Coach, he's good. He can go back in. But shout out to Buffalo because they finding a way to beat teams that had good seasons, but they don't got to. But Trevor Lawrence is a good team, a good player on a good team, and Josh Allen is a great player on a good team, and the great player and the good team moved on. I'm looking forward to see how they handle that Denver air and that Denver defense.
Okay, we're going to go rapid fire on this one. Bills favored over number 1 seed Denver Broncos. Do you like it, Marvin?
I get it just because they got the MVP coming to town. The thing about it is Denver has a decent defense. More importantly, they got Sean Payton and Bo Nix, running that offense. I think this could be Denver's year. I think Bo Nix is just an ascending quarterback. But Vegas obviously likes the MVP. They like the performance of Josh Allen from last week. Again, this guy's on fire, man. He's in the middle of his prime right now. And I just feel like he realizes he has to get that Super Bowl to really get to that next level of conversation for him in regards to who he is and where he ranks.
Candy?
This one's tough. I mean, because here you're talking about a veteran, an MVP, going into somebody else's home on the road, going into Mile High Stadium and trying to beat Bo Nix. But I think we'll see a difference in the rushing game. I think James Cook will come out and he's going to outlast RJ Harvey. And I think Buffalo's going to take it. I hope my boss isn't watching because my boss is a Broncos fan, but hey.
Now, I'll just say that Josh Allen is a player of destiny, and maybe your boss will get over it, but we'll see. I don't know. I'm not lobbying between. I'm just glad to give you the time off the Senior Bowl. All right, go ahead, Mel.
I mean, Vegas must know something that we don't know. They're playing in Denver. We know that's a very difficult place to play because of the altitude. Buffalo's defense is not very good. We know that Denver's defense is very good. Bo Nix has been playing at a very high level, has not been turning over the football. And Josh can sometimes, when he tries to take over games, he can be a little careless with the ball. So, but evidently Vegas knows something that I don't know, but I'm very surprised that they are a favorite playing in Denver. But it should be a good football game. I can't say that I'm a Sean Payton fan, but the way that he's turned around that football program in the last couple of years, and what he's done with Bo Nix and what he's done with that defense, you have to take your hat off to him. I mean, they're playing very good football right now.
Tommy.
Yeah, that's why I don't bet on games. I had to read that twice. When I saw the Bills were favored, I assumed the Broncos would not only be favored, but pretty heavily with a defense playing a Mile High Stadium or whatever they call it nowadays. And that's a surprise to me. I hope the Bills win, though. I'd like to see the Bills win.
Yeah,
I'm going to take a little bit from everyone. I'm absolutely surprised that Buffalo was going in there the favorite, being that Denver's is the top seed, and they do have an amazing defense. They have Patrick Surtain too there, who absolutely makes wide receivers disappear. So, Buffalo's going to have to rely on Josh Allen's legs, on Cook's legs, but I think you're gonna have to see big games out of their tight ends, both Kincaid and Knox, in order to kind of get away from the shutdown secondary that Denver has. So it's gonna take an effort, but I'm kind of with Candy on here. I think it's gonna be one of those close games, but I think the magic runs out of there in Denver. Buffalo now being the season's team, like I get it that Denver was in the playoff last year, but they didn't have a deep run last year. They do have experience, but I think Denver being there the last handful of years and having experienced those losses is going to kind of be the difference, because they're not going to be able to give up. They're going to have that extra fight in them to go do that they are going to Denver. They have a lot to prove this year, and I think that they're at the very least going to upset the Denver Broncos, regardless of if Vegas has them as the favorite or not. That's an upset. I don't care what anyone says. When you're the 5 seed and you beat the 1 seed in the divisional round in their house, that's an upset. That doesn't matter what Vegas says.
Okay. Ben.
I mean, when I'm looking at the stats, I'm looking at the regular season. You talk about Bo Nix, he had 25 touchdowns, 11 picks. Josh Allen had 25 touchdowns, 10 picks. The difference is one is the reigning MVP, and the other guy, he's probably been the best quarterback the last 2 years, not named C.J. Stroud, because of what Bo Nix has meant. I think the reason why I go with the Buffalo Bills is because Josh Allen is going to do whatever he got to do to win. He does not care. He's going to throw his body around, and that defense going to make it. That Denver defense gets extremely stingy from the 20-yard line in. They get it, and the closer you get to the goal line, they don't give up a lot of touchdowns. But the fact that he got James Cook and Sean McDermott and company, they're gonna say, "Look, dude, what you want to run? We ain't got time to be trying to walk away saying we left something in the tank. If it's got to be a flea flicker, they're gonna run it. If it's got to be a double reverse, they're gonna run it. When you in the playoffs, you ain't got time to be saying what you want to run. Let's go out there and try to make some plays, because Mile High is high. It's hard to win there." Patrick Surtain was a second-team All-Pro. Do you know how good those cornerbacks got to be? Then Cooper DeJean, right, and Quinyon Mitchell to beat first-team All-Pro Patrick Surtain. So I like Buffalo only because experience matters in the playoffs. It does. Understanding the situation of football, understanding the weather, understanding what's going on, understanding what's at stake. And Josh Allen knows he's playing for legacy. He's done almost everything you could do in the regular season. Postseason. They pay you to win enough games in the regular season to make it to the postseason and to get it done. I like Buffalo, but I don't feel good about it because it's going to be hard to beat Denver at Denver. But I think Buffalo has the X factor in Josh Allen. And like I say, he's ready to take a beating this year. He took a beating in Jacksonville. He might as well put on a lot of, he might as well, dip his body in some Epsom salt, take some pain medication, put on some Bengay. He going to need it all because they're going to hit him often and they're going to hit him hard. But I think his mind and body is built to deal with what he got to deal with to get to the Super Duper Bowl.
Hey, Candy, when you go to the store, give me some Bengay. I need it now that Ben brought it up. Put on the grocery list. I need it every place. All right, well, I'll tell you what our featured topic of the night is, the headline of the night. Could Dan Marino have won multiple Super Bowls with the Pittsburgh Steelers? Well, this is a really interesting hypothetical question. Dan seems to see that he would have won multiple Super Bowls if he was drafted by his hometown, the Pittsburgh Steelers. He says, well, looking back at their teams, I probably have won Super Bowls. I really do, because their defense had because of the defense they had. Well, there's no argument there. But the one thing the Miami Dolphins had was Mark Duper and Mark Clayton, and they let him get all the stats that he wanted. But would he have amassed 60,000 yards there? Don Shula let him do whatever the heck he wanted. And obviously, as I mentioned, he had great receivers like Mark Duper, Mark Clayton, Mark Ingram and company, where Pittsburgh runs the football. When Jimmy Johnson tried to run to the pound, Dan Marino couldn't handle it, because all Jimmy Johnson did was win Super Bowls, and Dan Marino got toasted by Jacksonville like 61-62-7. So, Dan, take your ego and stick it where the sun doesn't shine, sick them head. You can't take your cake and eat it too. You can tell my voice is cracking over this sick them head. I don't like you. Yeah, you probably could have won Super Bowls there, and you're the best quarterback that probably hadn't won one outside of Dan Fouts, but I'll still put you number one, and I don't like you anyway, so period. So, yeah, could you win them under Chuck Noll? Fine. But Don Shula let you do whatever you want. He gave you a Duper. He gave you Clayton. He gave you Ingram. He gave you everything you wanted, and you blew it. Shut up, Dan. I hate you, but you probably could have. All right, Marvin, follow that.
Listen, as a Jet fan, I'm very familiar with Dan Marino. The Miami Dolphins are our rivals. And listen, I actually have admiration for Dan as a quarterback. You know, this guy was a phenomenal passer, just a really great player. I couldn't imagine, Duper and Clayton without Dan Marino. If Dan Marino had gone to the Steelers, his hometown, I have no doubt that organization probably could have put together a Super Bowl run for him. It's unfortunate that he didn't get a chance to go to the Steelers. There was some nasty rumors about him during the draft process for him, and he got kicked from a top 5 pick down to the end of the first. But yeah, I understand what he's saying. I think that the combination of his talent and what the Steelers had going on could have been real. The Dolphins, when he was with the Dolphins, they went to the Super Bowl. They had some playoff runs. They ultimately never were able to get over that hump. But he is every quarterback's favorite quarterback. All the quarterbacks that came after him, they list him as their favorite quarterback. Man, he was smooth. Man, he had a rifle, a pure drop back passer. Much different than today's quarterbacks who are all they're all athletic. This guy was a drop back, stand up, and just let it rip. Seeing him in a Steeler uniform would have been classic.
Well, I mean, all the other thing I'll say that can compliment Marino, that's hard for me to do it, is he had the quickest release I've ever seen. So, yeah, he didn't get sacked for sure. He had a great quick release. And I tell you, I wrote a story of Mark Clayton and Mark Duper, and they were great receivers. I mean, if you can't amass that many yards, yeah, I think he could have won Super Bowls there, but the Steelers didn't want him. And as a result, he didn't win one. You can sit there and look in the past all you want, Dan, just like your isotoner gloves. Who cares? I remember those. But the reality is you couldn't win with the Dolphins, and Don Shula let you do whatever you wanted offensively, and you got in the Hall of Fame despite your individualism. Period. Take your isotoner. Wow. And like Marvin said, don't get on my bad side like Dan Marino did. And I can tell lots of stories that I don't like this guy over at Super Bowl 33, but I don't have enough time, and I got to make sure Ben gets his 2 cents on this topic at least. All right, Ben, now you get your 2 cents in on this topic, because I know you have to skate out of here at 10.
I would say no. I don't think he does win a Super Bowl with the Pittsburgh Steelers, because he wouldn't want to do it the Pittsburgh Steelers way. The thing about a guy like Dan Marino, I mean, listen, I love Dan Marino. I mean, Dan Marino was one of the best throwers of the football. But you know how easy to say I would have won one based on what they did without me? No, it don't go like that. Because you the guy that got to make it go. And the thing about the Pittsburgh Steelers is every time they win Super Bowls, people love Terry Bradshaw, not like Terry Bradshaw. He did it the way. Now, he had similarities to a Dan Marino, but he still, listen, at the quarterback position, you got to be willing to adjust who you are in order to go out there and win games. When you talk about throwers of the football, Dan Marino is going to be in that category. But you can't be given as much as he was given down there in Miami, not winning to say, well, if I was somewhere else, you know how many players can say that? Man, if I was somewhere else, man, I would have done this and I would have done that. No, because you still you. They still got to deal with you. And the thing about it is, when Terry Bradshaw was doing it, he didn't care about all them yards, but he had Starworth, he had Swan, right? And we talk about Franco Harris and those guys, that was beautiful football. The best quarterbacks in the world care about winning, and they care about adjusting what they do to win. Not, hey, I want my stats to look good, but I still want to win. So I don't know Dan Marino like that. I mean, I've heard some things about him, when I was in the NFL as far as like how he was. Yeah, you got them alpha male dominant type personalities, but the problem is Dan Marino is Phillip Rivers. They put up big time numbers. I'm talking about, but when you don't win it, people going like, well, why didn't they win? They ain't have no good players? No, they had good players. They ain't have no good coach? No, they had a good coach. Well, what was up? Hey man, I mean, sometimes the best you have doesn't mean you're gonna win it. So I don't like that. If I was with Pittsburgh, I would have won it. Nope. And the reason why I say nope is because the Rooney family understands this. Look, we want to draft players that are willing to adjust who they are, what they are for the betterment of the team, and look past it. They already got a Dan Marino. His name was Ben Roethlisberger. Check the numbers and the rings. So they did it with Bradshaw. Obviously, they did it, with Ben Roethlisberger. But I think it's good. I think it's good conversation to have, right? I think it's good conversation to have, right? But just because you say we would have won it with me, based off of what you did in Miami, so Miami is not this.
Come on, Ben. The reality of the situation is Jimmy Johnson. Everything you're saying is what I just said a few minutes ago, Ben. Jimmy Johnson won a couple Super Bowls in Dallas, for God's sake. Dan, this is the formula to do it called a running game. Really? Seriously, really? I know I'm not going to sleep now. Forget that nonsense. But the reality is this. Jimmy Johnson laid it to him on a silver platter. And Dan Marino, ego. And that's all there is to it. Ben, you're the Rolls Royce of that damn comment because that you did great called run to the GFDA. Great minds think alike. Period. Am I loud tonight? Yeah, I don't care.
We all can do. Listen, me, Mel, and Marvin can do shoulda, coulda, wouldas all day. Hey, man, you would have put me in this office right here, man. I'm trying to tell you, I would did this and I would did that. But we have to. Football. Look, you got to deal with the place that you at. Don't give me that. You know what? If I played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, we probably would have won 2 or 3 right now. And guess what? Pittsburgh Steelers' legacy is so great. No one cares about Dan Marino. That's how good they were in Pittsburgh. We had Terry Bradshaw. They had Ben Roethlisberger. And guess what? They haven't been good since they got rid of both of those guys. Since they got rid of both of them, they haven't been that position even with a guy like Aaron Rodgers. So Dan Marino, you sitting in the bar talking about the glory days of what shoulda, coulda, woulda. They gave you 17 seasons in Miami to do it. 17. Stop it. Move on.
And he even got a road named after him. Give me a break.
And he was on Ace Ventura.
That too. I thank God I didn't get a ticket on that stupid road. It'd be double depressing. All right, so I'll get you out of here on one more thing here real quickly, Ben. I know you have to get going, and then I'll let the crew talk about Dandy Dan Marino and the ego. Okay, he only got to 1 Super Bowl and never made it back anyway. But give me your thoughts about the fact that the Steelers and Mike Tomlin are no more after 19 years, and the fact that the Steelers have lost 7 straight playoff games. Ben, and then we'll go ahead with the rest of the group on both topics.
One thing I respect about Mike Tomlin is he's never going to be a guy that want to be in the way just because he can. The Rooney family, say what you want about them, they understand coaches. They've only had 3 in the history of their franchise. Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season, but he knows, man, they don't pay me to have winning regular season. They pay me to get it done in the postseason. And he's looking around saying, am I helping this team get better or am I a hindrance? I don't know. I heard what you were saying, Marvin. I don't know what happened with that conversation because the Rooneys, they seem to be a class act as far as like how they make decisions. But Mike Tomlin is saying, dude, I don't want to be around just because I could be around. 19 years? 19 years in the league as a head coach? Man, I mean, that's an accomplishment within itself. Mike Tomlin, to me, wasn't around just because he could coach. He was around because he was an incredible coach. But if you haven't won a playoff game since 2011 or whatever it is or however long it's been, you got to start looking in the mirror. And he said something at the end of his press conference. And Mike Tomlin was great. He said, look, man, he said, listen, it's not about what you say, man. It's about getting it done. We talk too much in our business. And I think he realizing that he got to explain himself too much. I don't know where he's going to land. Like I said, there's this real nice organization in Atlanta, Mike. If you want to get rid of them frigid temperatures to come inside the dome, we can talk about that another day. But I respect Mike Tomlin because he was an incredible coach for 19 years, and he gave it all he had. It's just he's starting to realize I don't know how to pick a quarterback. And I don't want to. And he don't try to live off who he was. He live off who he is. And I don't want to live off what I've done. I want to live off what I'm doing. And I wasn't getting it done, flat out. If a Baltimore kicker missing a kick is the reason why I'm winning, and it's not because we dominating on the field. 19 years, sometimes your message runs dry. Sometimes people respect you, but it ain't hitting the same way. I mean, you coach Joey Porter Jr., senior and junior. It's time to move on to greener pastures, and we'll see where he ends up. But I do respect the job that Mike Tomlin done since he came over as a defensive coordinator of Minnesota Vikings, on the strength and word of a one Tony Dungy. I'm always going to remember when he got hired. But to be in one spot for 19 years, when you got coaches getting hired and fired every 2 or 3 years, says a lot. But we'll see where he ends up. But it's going to send shockwaves. I still think the Baltimore Ravens are still the number one landing spot right now, but Pittsburgh is right there. I think Pittsburgh has jumped everybody else as the number one landing spot. But how do you replace 19 years of production? It's going to be hard to do it. But I just respect Mike Tomlin and the player he is, the player's coach he is, how he used to hold court. When you talk about them press conferences, man, I like the fact that he was answering these questions, but he's going to be missed. But he did it the right way. He didn't make no excuses. He is a Super Bowl champion. But if the best you got is picking a 42-year-old quarterback to take you back to the Super Bowl, it's time to move on, man. And I respect, like I said, I'm going to keep saying this. Aaron Rodgers was born in 83. I was born in 82. So I respect them early 80s babies. You already know what it is. But Aaron Rodgers belongs over here with us. He do not need to be out there. And he can't pick a quarterback. So we'll see. But I respect Mike Tomlin's entire career. And but he knows it's about Super Bowls, not regular season division championships. And 19 years is a long time. And he got to do some of the sports that's hard to do. When you get to walk away on your own terms without getting shown the door, that's hard to do. And he got to walk away on his own terms. We'll see what his next act is.
All right, well, I'll tell you what your next act is right now, and that's let everybody know how they get a hold of you. We'll see you next Tuesday night.
Listen, get a hold of me. I think I'm True Benjamin right now on X. I've been hacked 2 or 3 times. I don't know why people keep hacking me. I don't know why. And I'm on BH84 on X. Not X, but Instagram, Facebook. And like I said, man, tomorrow on the Fan in the End, I'm looking forward to my homie Steven telling me why his Eagles ain't moving on. I'm gonna say, look, man, it happens, man. Listen, Steven ain't used to losing, but Steven, listen, man, me and Marvin, man, we Jets Falcons fans, man. You don't know losing, no pain.
Tell him.
Y'all act like I didn't grow up with Rich Kotite as my head coach. Like, what are you talking about?
Man, we had a coach that used to leave. I had a coach that used to leave 2 tickets for Elvis. That's what I had to deal with.
I forgot Jerry Glanville used to do that.
Oh, come on. Jerry Glanville's not a bad guy.
All of you going to a Super Bowl, though.
Our sideline used to have Evander Holyfield on it, MC Hammer on it, Whitney Houston on it. We wasn't winning no games, but that sideline was lit.
It reminded me to tell you a great story about Jerry Glanville next week, okay, Ben? I'll tell you what, Ben, when you get off the line here, you send me a text when you get done. Out next week in the topics, give me your best Jerry Glanville story. You put it in a text message, I'm going to mention that next week on the show. Fair enough, Ben, if you can remember.
Yes, sir. Tom, Steve, Mel, Marv, Miss Candy, it is truly humbling to share these airways with you guys, man. I'm here as long as they allow it. And Mel and Marv, y'all are the greatest thing to happen to each other. When Bell come over to what's up with you, Marv? I love it. I am here for it every single day. But if you think you're gonna pair me with a Georgia Bulldog, that's not gonna happen. We're not gonna do right.
Oh no! But your homework assignment is send me that text message when you get done, so I can tell you that story. It's a great story, man.
I'm gonna send it from Elvis.
The teacher's gonna break the ruler out.
You what? Huh?
I'm gonna send it as Elvis Presley.
You got me. Just send me that text. Would you have a great night? And we'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks, man.
All right, take it easy, Ben.
Send me that text. All right, Ben. All right, so let's continue the theme here as we were before. I want to make sure we got their thoughts in there. So where were we now that he threw me?
Dan Marino.
Dan Marino. All right, Candy. Now you told to give me your thoughts real quickly about Dan Marino. What could have been, what should have been, or what wasn't.
He played with them. He played for the Miami Dolphins for 17 years. I mean, that's a long time. Obviously, he's best remembered for his quick release, his powerful arm. He became the consistent postseason contenders, leading them to the playoffs 10 times and 1 Super Bowl appearance, although the title victory ultimately eluded him during his career. He's considered to be one of the greatest players to never win a Super Bowl and had the most career victories of quarterbacks not to win a title at 155. And that's where I'll leave it.
Okay, well, let Marvin pick it up.
Yeah, in regards to Marino, like I was saying, I mean, he's one of the greatest of all time. I'm very familiar with him as a Jet fan, and I grew to have admiration for Dan. My first NFL game ever was against Dan Marino and Jimmy Johnson and Jason Taylor, and I remember coming out there and just being against my first game. So I'm a little bit in awe of the fact that it's Dan Marino, and I was in the 4th and 5th grade watching this guy play. And he was awesome, man. He was an awesome player. He had a phenomenal career. It really is unfortunate that somebody as good as he was didn't get a championship. I'm a diehard Jet fan, but I love the game. And I love our great players. So in regards to Dan Marino, in Pittsburgh, like I said, I'll say it was possible for him to get a championship out there just because he is who he is. And he probably would have benefited from more of a run game, more of a run-based offense. But it is what it is. He didn't get it done. He'll go down as one of the best of all time. But one of the best of all time with an asterisk because he doesn't have the ring. You want me to speak on Tomlin as well?
Yeah, you might as well go ahead. Let's get them both.
Yeah, listen, it really broke my heart today to see Mike Tomlin leave. The NFL, I mean, the game has really evolved and changed. You know what I'm saying? When I was in the NFL in 1999, every team needed to have a fullback back then. You probably had half the league had fullbacks, half the league didn't have fullbacks, okay? And it was just a different game. This was way before the concussion and the hits to the head and all that stuff. This is when the game was raw. Mike Tomlin is a raw dude to me. I think he's an old school coach. I'm not saying he's not for the safety and all that stuff, but he has an old school mentality. And you get that, like Ben was saying, just from what he was doing at the podium. His post-game news conferences were phenomenal. He'd get straight to the point. He'd tell you what it is. He'd give you a different perspective. He'd always say it a little bit differently. And we all appreciated that, because he was a hard-nosed coach. He was everything that the Steelers head coach should have been and should be. And I loved it. And you don't see a lot of these guys anymore like him. He's an old school dude with an old school approach. Nowadays, you got the Sean McVays and the LaFleurs and all the offensive gurus, and the game has evolved to 11 personnel, no fullback, a bunch of receivers, and the Steelers were doing that too on Mike T. But still, at his core, he was a hardcore dude, man, and he will definitely be missed for sure by Steeler fans who could appreciate him, but football fans all around. Who had love for his approach like I did. It's really, to me, unless he comes back, which I hope he does at some point with a team, it's really a loss for the NFL and a loss for NFL fans that he's out the game.
Great points, Marvin. All right, Katie, give me your 2 cents in rapid fire format about, obviously, Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin coached for 19 years. He led them to 13 playoff appearances. That means they only missed in 6. How many teams have never made it to the playoffs or never made it to the Super Bowl? In today's day and age, everybody wants the Super Bowl or bust. And if you don't get that far, then you're gone. Mike Tomlin had a great career. I hope it's not over. But again, the times have changed so much. And what I would encourage anybody to do, if you've listened to what Aaron Rodgers said at the end of his press conference about Tomlin and LaFleur and how things have changed, I would highly encourage you to go out and seek that.
Hey, Mel, both topics.
Yeah, I mean, Dan Marino, I mean, if I was 7'2" and was starting center for the Lakers, my life would be different too. I might have won a couple championships. I mean, we can all do if I wish and all this kind of stuff. But the fact of the matter is, he went to the Super Bowl his rookie year, I believe it was, and he thought it was easy. He thought it was going to be easy. And Marvin knows, man, it's hard to win football games in the NFL. A lot of things have to go right, man. in order for you to win a lot of football games in the NFL and then, win games in the tournament. And it was just unfortunate for him that he never got an opportunity to get back to the Super Bowl. With Mike Tomlin, you have to trust that Pittsburgh is probably going to hire the right guy based on their previous hires. With Chuck Noll and then Bill Cowher and then Mike Tomlin, all of them have been there for a very long time. It's going to be difficult to watch Pittsburgh, and I've never been a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. When you're growing up in the 70s, you were either a Steelers fan or you're a Cowboys fan. So I was always a Cowboys fan. I like Tony Dorsett. Never liked the Steelers, but became a fan of the Steelers because of Mike Tomlin. It's going to be different, obviously. For the past almost 20 years, we've watched Mike Tomlin grace that sideline and do it with such class and dignity and strength that we haven't seen. And to see him somewhere else, or even if he's in television, which he would do a great job in television, he'd come in here and take Marvin's place anytime. He's going to land on his feet somewhere and do a very, very good job. I'd like to see him go back in coaching, but he's going to take the right job. I don't know what job is the right job right now. He only knows that, but I think he would look good down there in Miami. I think he would look good with the Raiders, but the Raiders is kind of a cluster. But I think he would look good in that silver and black, and I think he would look good down there in Miami as well. But it's difficult to see him go. But to get 19 years in this profession when some guys don't even make it a full year, that's saying a lot about the type of man that he is and the type of coach that he is and the type of leader of men that he is. I mean, Mike Tomlin is a man's man without question.
Tommy?
Yeah, one of the things to remember about Marino and John Elway is they came out in that same draft. Elway was the first pick, and Marino was one of the last picks for reasons that Marvin already mentioned. There were drug rumors about him that were unfounded. But Marino stepped in right away and was a star. Elway struggled for a couple of years, maybe even 3. I remember one game against the Chargers when he lined up behind the guard, and the center had to tell him to move over. So Elway took a little while to adjust. I would have to. I don't have a problem with Marino saying that, and I speak for a little bit from experience because I remember in '94 the Steelers were the number 1 seed, home field advantage. And the Chargers went to Pittsburgh, and they beat the Steelers, and that's the only time the Chargers ever went to the Super Bowl. Neil O'Donnell was the Steelers quarterback.
Right.
And it was like the final score is 17-13, and the Steelers had like a 4th and goal from the 5, and Neil O'Donnell's pass got knocked down. Maybe Marino completes that pass. Maybe they score more than 13 points, 20 points, whatever. But the thing is, the Chargers went to the Super Bowl and they got blitzed by the 49ers. So Marino probably would have lost again to the 49ers. He lost to Montana the first time, and then he would have lost to Steve Young the second time. But I don't have a problem with Marino saying that because I think it's very possible. The Steelers didn't really have a good quarterback for a few years there until they drafted Roethlisberger. Right. As for Tomlin, I'm kind of glad in a way that he decided to step away because the Steeler fans don't deserve him, and the Steeler roster didn't deserve him. He got the most out of that team. I won't be surprised if they're a losing team next year. They have a losing record, and then the Steelers fans can chomp on that. Yeah. And maybe the Steelers won't be the franchise they've been with 3 coaches for 56 years. They might be flipping coaches with losing seasons in the near future here.
Yeah, before I turn over to Steven, you know what? I'll make my comments short as I'm capable of. I already said what I said about Marino, so I don't have nothing more to say about that idiot anyways. But Tomlin, they're gonna be looking at possibly losing seasons. Life is going to be tough after Tomlin. All right, Steven.
Well, I think it's an absolutely redundant hypothetical, but I'm going to play your game anyways. In the 80s, there's no way in this good green earth that he would have been able to take that Steelers franchise to do anything. Right. Now, however, as Tom was already mentioned, they had a couple opportunities there in the back end of the 90s. I do believe with those early to mid '90s Steelers that he'd have been able to put something together. We're still talking hypotheticals here because he didn't have a wide receiver core. They didn't even get a running back in there until Jerome Bettis that they had since Franco Harris.
Right.
The defense wasn't what it was. You had Asian guys. I think the only guy that is worth mentioning was Rod Woodson at the time. So like it was almost till the '90s. So he would have had a similar run to what John Elway did, where he had some playoff appearances without the Super Bowl appearance, and then finally gets over the hump towards the back end of the career. That's the only way that would have ever happened. But it's a ridiculous hypothetical in my opinion, but I get where Dan's coming from because it's his hometown. It's where if you would take everything aside, I guarantee you he would tell you right now he would trade a lot of those stats for potential Super Bowl wins in his backyard in Pittsburgh. Okay. But now we go on to Mike Tomlin, and it's going to be hard to replace what the Pittsburgh Steelers organization has done, going from Noel to Cowher to Tomlin.
Right. You
have three coaches that I think they're all three of them are above 150 career wins. That's nothing to sneeze at. It's not. And I agree with Tom here. They're in trouble. I mean, Tomlin may have had lost his last 7 playoff games, but I also think that they have not given him the necessary tools and going out and I mean, granted they went out and got DK Metcalf last year. I think it was the most ridiculous trade they didn't get ever made because I think they let Pickens go, who you think maybe was a culture thing or whatever. He looked pretty good in Dallas this year. DK Metcalf, he doesn't even look like the player he was in the first 2 seasons. Now, we all know he had other things going on towards the end of the season, with all that happened. But I agree with Tom. I think they're going to be a bottom dweller, and we're going to see if they do not make the right hire, they probably will go through multiple coaches over the next 5 years. Mike Tomlin will not coach next year because the way he left, Pittsburgh still owns his rights. So technically, if somebody wants them, they're going to have to offer them up picks or something to that effect to trade for Tomlin. I do think he's going to be an analyst for 1 year, and then in the next year's coaching cycle, that's where we'll see Tomlin come back. So you don't know what's going to happen. You have to see what plays out, who are going to be the prominent locations next season. But who knows? Who knows, Marvin? Maybe he'll be a Jet after your former player coach there is has another subpar season. You maybe you just get the quarterback, but nothing else is working right. They send Aaron Glenn packing, and then Mike Tomlin comes in and shows the organization and the front office what real culture looks like.
I hope, Steve, from your mouth to God's ears, brother. I mean that. I'm serious. We need that so bad.
I think that's probably the logical thing that'll happen. If you look because they're not going to fire him. If they were going to fire Glenn, they would have already fired him, right?
Yeah.
So you're probably gonna hang on to him. I guarantee you, he's gonna have a 2-year run. He will be fired this time next season, and I wouldn't be surprised if Mike Tomlin is at the top of that list to potentially fill the New York Jets coaching vacancy. It's just how I feel about it, just because I know you guys got some picks coming back to you from trades and whatnot.
You do.
So you're gonna have to get it right.
Like I said, listen, that's what we need.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if they do. All right. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Let's talk about wild cards and teams in their history, because the 7 wild card teams who have won the Super Bowl include the 2020 Buccaneers, the 2010 Packers, 2007 Giants, the 2005 Steelers, 2000 Ravens, 1997 Broncos, 1980 Raiders. We'll make this a rapid fire question, and I mean rapid fire. Marvin, you see which wild card team you think that's left in the tournament emerges as a possible Super Bowl winner?
Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
Yeah.
Candy?
The same, Buffalo.
Mel?
Buffalo.
Tommy,
Buffalo.
Steven?
I've already said it. It's my Super Bowl pick: the 49ers and the Buffalo Bills.
Well, all right, so you put two of them in there. Okay, which one? Never mind. I'll say the Buffalo Bills. Next topic. Okay, Todd Bowles on returning. Let's talk about Todd Bowles for a moment. On returning his job, he said, I've earned the chance. I've won 3 straight division titles, so that says a lot as far as I'm concerned. All right, we know he's made some wholesale changes. So let's go over this, Marvin. I know we've talked about it before. All right, Todd Bowles is under fire because of staff changes. He's got he's got one more shot. Do you think he lasts beyond this year if he struggles?
If he struggles, probably not, considering, the moves that he was forced to make by ownership. The reality is this, though. He has a quarterback. I believe in Baker. I think Baker, when healthy, when his weapons are healthy, I think he's a difference maker. I think Baker's a hell of a player. And if they can stay healthy, especially on offense, then I don't think that Todd Bowles will have any issues keeping his job next year.
Candy?
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay has to do well next year. If they don't do well, he's gone.
You better make some great hires because now he only has himself to blame. You can't scapegoat the rest of the coaching staff. Todd, you're in trouble. You better get the hires right. Okay, Mel?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, would they get rid of the offensive coordinator? Is that what they did?
That and a lot more.
I mean, they got a new offensive coordinator, right? Because their offensive coordinator is the head coach at Jacksonville. So, it takes some time for these things to work out. I've never, I like Todd Bowles. I'm all for, guys getting an opportunity to get to get a head coaching position. I'm glad he got a second bite at the apple. The Jets was a difficult deal for him. I don't know how good of a head coach he is. I'm just put it out there like that. I don't know how good of a head coach he is. He might be just a much better offensive coordinator than he is a head coach. So, yeah, I think he is on the hot seat. I think his seat is very warm.
Tommy?
I think it says a lot about Tampa Bay that they trusted him to give him another year. He was the defensive coordinator when they won a Super Bowl. Bruce Arians wanted him to be the head coach.
Right.
Maybe he still has to prove himself, but Tampa Bay is they have a certain amount of trust in him, and they're standing by him. And he certainly deserved to come back. They had a lot of injuries too, didn't they? I mean, it was they started out fast, and then I think a lot of injuries contributed to their going downhill. But he definitely deserved another year.
Steven?
Hot seat is definitely simmering down there in Tampa Bay. I mean, multiple years losing coordinators. It's rough, and yes, there was multiple injuries. I still think that their problem really isn't on offense. I think they have a decent offense. They got one of the best young right tackles in football down there. I think they really need to address the defensive side of the ball and get some players. They are another one that fell victim to the Haason Reddick freight train there and got absolutely nothing back for it. I barely think he had a handful of sacks this season. So, not getting that edge rush production kind of hurt them. So, I mean, I think it's probably one of the things I would look to them fill through either free agency or the draft this year. But yeah, he deserved to come back and at least get one more crack on it. But they need help on defense. They need to stay healthy on offense, and they need to continue to get in the playoffs. Having the division stolen from you the back half of the year when they were basically on top of it, and just having heartbreak after heartbreak, and then having the Carolina Panthers steal the division out from underneath them the last game of the season, where it was out of their control. They won their last game, so.
Yeah, he has to get it right or he's done. Okay, let's continue on. In Indiana's Rose Bowl win over Alabama drew 23.9 million viewers. It's the most watched game of the 12-team college football era. Some quick thoughts about that one, Marvin.
Man, Indiana is a historic team right now. I think they're going to finish the job. What they did against Alabama, just first of all, it lets us know, again, this is not Nick Saban's Alabama. This is a whole new Alabama situation. But even with that, man, Indiana is on fire. offense, defense, quarterback. Man, they look so good out there. It reminds me of an all-time team. You think of 2004 USC, 2001 UM. I mean, they are dominating teams and beating teams like that. And they did Alabama the same way. They treated Alabama like they were, Milwaukee State University or something like that. As if it wasn't Bama. So I was highly impressed. I was one of the 23 million people watching the game, and just in disbelief of how this Alabama program just got dragged.
Candy.
Yeah. It's just kind of crazy how it all came about. And I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Go on to Mel.
All right, go ahead.
So the question was about Indiana. And,
Well, I'm just talking about the Rose Bowl. That's all. I mean, all it did was
the Rose Bowl.
record 23.9 million viewers. Pretty good stuff, isn't it?
I've been telling people, I've been watching Alabama for a while. Indiana for a minute. And they're the best football team in the country without question. And what they did to Alabama, like Marvin said, made them look like they were just, they weren't Alabama. This is not the Alabama that we've been accustomed to for the last number of years with Nick Saban being there. The other team in red and white looks more like the Alabama that looks more like a team like Alabama that we're accustomed to. And it's a great story too. It's a great story. A program that has never done anything in their existence since they've been around, and doing the things that they're doing right now. It's great for college football. It's good for college football. Marvin, don't you dare say a word. Don't you dare. I see it in you. Don't just keep your mouth shut.
There you go. All right, Marvin. Hey, listen, 23.9 million watched this game. It shows you that it looks like Indiana sold this one well, and the Rose Bowl is better off because of it. All right, Candy, did you regain your train of thought real quick?
I did. I mean, Indiana just they were firing on all cylinders. There wasn't one phase of the game that they didn't look good in. And on the stage that so many people could watch, Indiana is no longer just a basketball school, and they're proving it to everybody. Kirk Cinetti has got them firing on all cylinders, and Miami better watch out.
So, Tommy, how do you like those numbers for the Rose Bowl featuring Indiana?
Well, the Rose Bowl has historically been the most watched game of the season in college football. It's always been that way. And but what's upside down about the way college football is played now is Indiana had to win the Rose Bowl to get into the Peach Bowl. That's backwards.
That's funny. Yeah,
The Rose Bowl should be the national championship game. And
I like that.
Historically, it's been the most watched game. And that's why the Big Ten and the Pac-8 had that exclusive contract. It's why African Americans adopted Michigan State as their team when they saw the Spartans in the 54 and 56 Rose Bowl with multiple black stars, all American players, when every other team was virtually all white. So, and that was because the Rose Bowl was one game that everybody watched.
Marvin, how many of those did you play in?
Rose Bowls?
Yes, sir.
Played in one, and I won one. More importantly, Candy, we got to make sure we read these comments from Eddie. Eddie has some good stuff up there, man.
Go ahead. Real quick. And I got two topics I want to get to, including the Michigan State one.
Candy, don't read those comments.
Yeah, this is killing them. All right, go ahead, Steven. I have two more topics.
I could care less about the numbers. You can go talk to the NCAA executives about the numbers. It's absolutely meaningless. What football fans actually care about is what's going on in the game. And I totally agree with Tom. They got it backwards. The Rose Bowl should be the NCAA playoff championship game. It has been for the longest time. It's why it's one of the most watched events that we have in college football. Stop playing around.
It's the granddaddy of them all.
Exactly. Let's switch that around and make that happen. You all want to change all this stuff around, right? So make that happen. But I said it a few weeks ago. Marvin remembers when we were doing our little early predictions. I had Indiana. I had Miami. I got my wish for the championship game. Indiana needs to win this. I love the Miami Hurricanes. Indiana's the story of NCAA football this year. I want to see them get that national championship. We'll see if that comes to fruition on the 19th. But it's we're getting down to the end of it here, and I think the college football tournament paid off this year. May have not gotten all the teams we wanted to in, or all the popular teams got their chances in, but I think when you look at it as a whole, I think it was a winning formula this year.
Okay, well, let's talk about one of the other participants. The Miami Hurricanes are one of two programs to make both a Final Four and college football playoffs and a Final Four recently. This is a rapid fire one. Marv, what are your thoughts about the Hurricanes' overall athletic program getting to two Final Fours in a short period of time?
Yeah, I mean, listen, UM is I guess at this point you could say that the U is almost back, but they've had great teams without question. They recruit out of the great state of Florida, which has a ton of NFL talent and just this great talent as a whole across all the sports. It doesn't surprise me at all that these kids are going to a school like UM, and UM's having the success that they're having with the Final Fours.
Candy?
I think part of their success not only is the coaching, but it's also a testament to the players that are coming back and supporting the program as well. Because I think that speaks volumes to these young kids seeing the Michael Irvin on the field and some of the other NFL previous players for the U. So I think that matters too. And they have a lot of NFL players that played in the NFL. That matters as well.
Well, what about the basketball team, Candy? By the way, before you get to that, legendary NBA player Rick Barry played for the Miami Hurricanes back in the day. How do you like that? So go ahead, Candy.
Of course. I mean, it's a testament that Miami is good in multiple sports. You don't see that in a lot of the other colleges that have good programs. But, I haven't seen a lot of Miami basketball. I've seen more of the football side of things.
Well, I haven't seen much of them either. All I just know is the two Final Fours in a few years' time for basketball and football is impressive, let alone that they have a great baseball program. All right, Mel, one more topic after this.
I guess that's impressive. I mean, I think other schools have done it right, but maybe not in the last few years. But I mean, that's nice. I mean, it's nice to hang on your resume, I guess. But we're gonna see what happens here on the 19th and see if they can finish the deal.
Well, it's foreign territory for the Miami Hurricanes having both of them. It's usually football. All right, Tommy.
I kind of expect Indiana to do to Miami what they already did to Alabama and Oregon. Miami could have easily lost that game to Mississippi. They had those stupid penalties that allowed Mississippi to get in position to score. And then on that last play, could have easily called pass interference and put the ball to, 2-yard line and that one more untimed play. So I expect Indiana is so efficient and so clean. I expect Miami to make enough mistakes that Indiana will beat them.
And what about the basketball program? You surprised, or Jim Larinaga done a good job, and High Lucas?
It's one of the great basketball stories of all time. Miami has never been a strong basketball program. So, it was great.
All right, Steven, you have the final word if you want to say much about this one.
Listen, everyone knows that Miami's known for football. So the fact that they've made a Final Four in basketball is definitely a testament to the changing culture down there. So we'll see if that's something that they're able to sustain. I'm not willing to place any bets on it, but like I said, they made the best of their opportunities in football this year. They're in the Final Four. They're actually going to be at home if you think about it, because where the game's being held. So they're probably going to get embarrassed in front of their hometown fans.
Yeah, Hard Rock Stadium. I've had a lot of great memories there. Seen a couple Super Bowls as well. All right, Katie, is there something you want to add real quick?
I do want to add rest in peace to former Miami Hurricanes coach Bill Courtney, who died at the age of 55.
Thank you, Candy. All right, last topic of the night, especially made for Tom Shanahan, the most recent writer, South Florida Tribune. Portal commit Michigan State has landed UConn transfer running back Cam Edwards. Edwards is one of the most productive backs in portal, 1,240 yards, 15 touchdowns in 2025. He has over 2,000 career rushing yards. And when we saw him against FAU, he had 101 yards, 16 carries, and 2 touchdowns on November 22nd. Tommy, what are your thoughts about Cam Edwards taking his wares up to East Lansing and joining Mr. Fitzgerald?
Well, I think Michigan State has filled a lot of holes, and that includes the offensive line. So Cam Edwards might have seen the offensive line. One of his teammates, one of the best left tackles in the country, also from UConn, also is going to Michigan State. So I think that probably has part of it. Real happy with the way Pat Fitzgerald has hit the ground running, not only finding guys in the transfer portal, but filling needs.
They lost their coach too, right? UConn,
right.
Right. Perfect time for a Shanahan report. Go ahead and spit it out there, Tommy.
Yeah, I recycled on one of my old stories about Martin Luther King speaking at Michigan State in 1965, since Monday is Martin Luther King Day. Put that up on my homepage, on the front page. In November of 1964, Martin Luther King picked up the Nobel Prize Award in Norway. In February, he spoke at Michigan State. And then in March and April, he had the marches in Selma that he led. What was interesting about his speaking at Michigan State in February of 1965 is it was a fundraiser for Michigan State student government. They were sponsoring students to go down to Mississippi in the summer to help register voters, summer of 1965. That's only 1 year after Cheney, Goodman, and Sweeney were murdered in Mississippi. But there were still lots of people willing to go down there and support the civil rights movement. And one of the things Martin Luther King said at Michigan State, and he said it in other speeches, and there's a 2-minute clip that you can listen to, you can click on. He talked about how people, were frustrated by all the protests, and they wanted everything to just calm down and be more patient. And Martin Luther King said, we've been waiting 100 years since the Civil War. He said, time is neutral. The time is always right to do right. And he said, it's at some point, it's not only just the bad people who bombed churches in Alabama and the South who had to repent, but the appalling silence of good people who did nothing while all this was going on. Black people were being lynched, having their homes and churches bombed. And one of those silent people was Bear Bryant, one of the most powerful voices in the South. He had the law of the land on his side when Alabama's campus was desegregated in 1963. He didn't recruit a black player until 1970. And Alabama was the 7th of 10 SEC schools to do so. Schools with coaches with less job security than Bear Bryant stuck their neck outs long before him.
Okay, let's continue.
Tom Shanahan dot report. Shanny 4055 is my
and he writes for us when he gets a chance, and glad to have him on as a writer as well as a fixture here on Inside the Pigskin. All right, around the horn, Marvin, let everybody know how they can get a hold of you.
You can get a hold of me, social media, Marvin Powell III, Marvin on the mic. You can catch me with the South Florida Tribune Tuesday evenings, Wednesday mornings, twice, Wednesday evenings, Saturday mornings with Scott and this guy, Mel Farr Jr. And you can catch me, here we go, roundtable.com. We have the Nets Roundtable, we have Jags Roundtable, we have Bucks Roundtable, and we have
Kings
Roundtable. Thank you, Ms.
Net. So you're talking about basketball, Marvin?
Yeah, he just talked a little
at a high level, Mel. At a high level, yes.
Yeah. Also, next programming note: next Wednesday, Marvin, the Motor City Mad Mouth, and Marvin and on the Mike Show return next Wednesday. So we'll go ahead. All right, Stephen, real quickly, what do you have on tap for tomorrow night? as well
we
as
got a lot. I'm a busy person this week, so I already said it once on the network within the last handful of days, but Scott is going to allow me a special interview tomorrow night, as we're going to be talking to former Philadelphia Phillies pitcher who threw a no-hitter for them. Mr. Tommy Green's going to be joining us. I also have 2 different combat sports interviews at the end of the week. I'm going to be joined by just signed his Knucklemania contract for February 7th here in Philadelphia. Travis the Animal Thompson is going to be joining us, and the brother to BKFC, owner and founder Damon Feldman is going to be joining us. He also founded Celebrity Boxing, and they just recently launched his Extreme Fighting Championships as well. So Damon's going to be joining us Sunday morning for a talk. So we got a lot of fun stuff going on here on the South Florida Tribune, my friends.
All right, Candy, one more station break. We're done.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40-plus years in the business. It is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. Watch for the audiobook coming shortly. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there's a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you see that red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, click it, like us, share us with all your friends and family, and then turn on your notifications. Or if it's easier to take the QR code, go take that QR code and hit the subscribe button. Give us some love. Thanks to everybody in the chat room. One last plug. If you missed it earlier tonight, Tuesday nights, 7:30, the Chicks podcast. It's me and some girls all talking sports primarily.
All right. Well, we want to thank Ben True for being on earlier. We want to thank Marvin, Paul, Candy, Mel, Tommy, and Steve Reichel, who's going to have the prime time tomorrow night. So, and the Sports Exchange will be the early show, and Stevens will be later. So, want to thank everybody for joining us on this edition of Inside the Picton. And of course, Saturday we'll always have a great show. Lots of other good programs on the network as well the rest of the week. So, meanwhile, everybody enjoy your night. Enjoy the football. We'll have more hay and a whole lot more to say. Peace on behalf of Marvin and the rest of us. Take care, everybody. We'll see you and watch our program. Lots of great stuff the rest of the week and into next week. Take care, everybody. God bless. And also, one last thing, Candy and I will be covering the Senior Bowl at the end of the month. Looking forward to our coverage out there as well. That does it. Good night, everybody, and thanks for joining us.